your phones out and your ring lights. We about to go live. Come on your phone screen, man, we going live.
Welcome back to another episode of the Ty Brady Way. Today I have Kalen Howard on the show. And I did say that right, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, you did.
You and I, like, it seems like we keep crossing paths, right? Like you move and I move, and then I always see you. And I think we're connected on social media and so on. And you've kind of done some similar things. I mean, you've been, if I remember correctly, you've been in the mortgage industry or real estate?
Yeah.
You've been in the mortgage industry. You flipped houses for a while.
Yep.
And then now you own what type of business?
So currently I own about 6 businesses.
Oh, all right.
So
yeah. Okay.
The main one is probably where we'll focus. But I own a gym. I own a vitamin company.
Okay.
I own a property management company. Own an earring company, a calendar company, and.
Well, I'm glad we're catching up because I had no idea.
So.
Yeah. So is it like a franchise gym or
no? So it was a franchise, and then my wife worked for it, and the franchise just doubling fees, doing all the stuff I like to do. So we opened our own. It's Core XB, located in Riverton. And,
okay.
It's been great. So I do all the software developing.
Okay.
So we developed the software in about a month and a half, and put it together, and it's gone great. This happened last December, so. Very recent. I had
a guy on the show pretty recently, and he works for tech, and he was talking about how they use a texting platform to reach out to like trampoline parks, and he sells a software package so that then they can reach out to their members to get them back in to like the trampoline park. So, that's a lot. That's a lot. So, with 6 businesses, I run one business, but there's multiple facets to that business, right? They're all under the same umbrella, whether it's life, whether it's health, whether it's over 65 health insurance. So where did you start, and when did you decide, okay, I'm going to focus on this, my passion, and then it kind of branched out from there? Because I think any successful entrepreneur has one thing at first, and then they go, okay, I can do this, I can do this. So where did that start, the one thing?
So I would say, my main passion is efficiency and technology.
Okay.
And so I went to college for that and graduated right after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
So we went from 100% placement to, I think, 12 of the 250 graduates got jobs in the field. So I had to then pivot. And I guess that's probably my personal story, is the story of pivoting. So I went to work for Wells Fargo as a banker. Definitely, I enjoy money. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But definitely not my passion there. So then I got into real estate.
Okay.
That was kind of the hot button. Flipped a whole bunch of houses. Did pretty well in there. Got into developing right as the 2008 crash.
Ooh.
And so
you pivoted quite a bit.
So then we had to go, and then that's when I got back to my roots of software developing. So we started a company, and it was me and another guy, and if we want to talk about the sob story a little bit, but we got it going. I was going to do sales. He would do the coding, and started getting a lot of sales. Coding wasn't getting done. Websites weren't getting completed. So I'm like, hey, do we need to pull someone else in? Do we need to do something here? And he ended up taking the servers, taking all the clients, and moving out over the weekend.
What?
So again, kind of pivoting over. So then I got in the business and said, hey, I'm going to figure this out. I was in the office for several months by myself, figuring out coding, figuring out things.
You didn't know coding?
No.
Well, you knew about coding?
I knew enough to be dangerous, but not. I'm not a hardcore coder, but I can figure things out.
Because you had the clients you had sold.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was one client. He still doesn't know to this day, but that weekend I started building his site, and I had a couple friends that knew coding, so I'd reach out to them occasionally and get stuff done. But
so the main core of your business, so the people that are listening to the show, what does that entail? Because to me, I'm like, I don't even know what that means, other than technology and efficiency. Like, how does that come together, and what role do you play?
Yeah. So what we try to do as a company. So currently, with my main company, Full Service Web Design, is what it says. We want to go in with the client and help them from A to Z whether it's marketing, whether it's efficiency in their business. We've worked with companies that do 40 million plus a year and companies that are just getting started. They've done zero.
Okay.
And so what we try to do is help them get from A to B to C to D, whatever that means.
Okay.
And you kind of notice in your business, you'll go and things will get really good, and then start
Pivot.
efficiencies.
Yeah.
And inefficiencies happen in things. So then you need to, I need to manage my leads better, or I need to, my cost of leads is too high. How do we switch our marketing and all those different aspects? So we try to go and be that, IT arm that they can't afford a full IT suite, but we can come in and do any piece of it.
So rather than your niche, then I would say is people that may not want to pay for a full IT department to run all that stuff, and they're hiring you, outsourcing it to you to be more efficient because you're going to do that for them. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that's part of it. And then the marketing web world is as well. So people need websites. Sometimes it falls under the IT umbrella, but
Yeah.
a lot of times people just outsource, get it done, and then forget about it. We try to be a little more proactive.
Sure. But then you're digging a step further is like, okay, now we have this website. How do we generate traffic? How do we generate traffic? How do we get leads in? How are we putting all that in? Is that?
Yeah. From getting the traffic to converting the traffic to making sure that's the right type of lead for your business demographic that you're able to create then your lifetime value of customer. How do you go back and remarket to your current customers? Are you maximizing your value with what you have? A lot of people, get kind of a niche and they make money this way, but they don't see 10 other ways that they could possibly. And I don't look at it as making money,
Sure,
as much as I do helping the client. Like what other needs do your clients have that you could provide for them?
yeah.
And if you look at it that way, the client's happy, they continue to come back, and you're able to grow and expand and help them along the path as well.
I would say I have a mediocre website. Mediocre at best, right? And part of it is I don't use it as a generating revenue, right? It's just it's almost like an authority in the space. Like I'm present. You can find me online, but it isn't really used to generate any type of lead strategy. Or if an agent looks me up and wants to come on board, there's stuff that comes to recruiting, but not really. I'm not driving traffic there because most everything that is done in the insurance space is face to face, and it's changing, right? Mm-hmm. But I have links on there if somebody wants to go and auto enroll by themselves. But I was going to say this is, why do you think not only insurance agents, but people in general struggle with going down that road of building a website and putting that out there? And what challenge have you had when you're selling and getting them people like, hey, this is the need out there?
Yeah. A lot of it comes to kind of the old adage of rent or buy, right? Where do you want to invest in a website? Do you want to put that money in and then get that website working for you, mm-hmm. which is a process and it costs a lot of money? Or do I go, kind of rent, so to speak, and get kind of a cheap website, like you're talking about, a brochure site that's up there, doesn't really do anything for me, but I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And so if you make the investment and the time and understand, I think the biggest problem people have is the understanding of the marketing web world. It's not just something, it's crazy. Like you'll do something for one client, and then you do the same thing for another client and it doesn't work. And so you have to, pivot, adjust. Cities are different, demographics are different in there. And so people have to be invested to pay the price to do it.
Uh-huh.
But once they do, the rewards are great. Then you get the mailbox money that everybody wants because your website's out there working, making you money when you don't have to do anything.
I've only been on social media for a few years, and I was reluctant because I did it. What would people think of me, right?
Yeah.
And that was one thing. But somebody said something to me, and it hit me. It's like, well, it's out there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on social media. How does social media play with a website? Because traditionally, people, I think I was listening to a radio show, and they were saying, 70% of the websites that were back in the early 90s, they're gone, right? Mm-hmm. So what are the changes you're seeing with websites and the need, like with all social media platforms?
So the main thing now is information, right?
Okay.
There's so much like information overload. So to be effective with social media, to be effective with your website, you have to know how to spread the information out there, get the information to the people that are looking for your service,
Yeah.
and then funnel them in. It's not here's my information, you come and buy. It's here's a little bit of information, you take an action. Here's a little bit more information, you take an action.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually you get to they're in that pool of customers that you start to market a little bit more aggressively, and then they turn into a sale.
So the funnel process is becoming longer, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to say that a touch point, you have to touch a client 7 to 11 times, and that's when they're going to buy. In your experience, when you're building these funnels, how long is that process? How many touches are you having to? Because I know I've gone on a website, and all of a sudden I hover over it, and then tomorrow I get the same website with something different. Maybe it's a discount, something.
Yeah.
What is that longer or?
No, I think the 7 to 11 principle still applies.
Okay.
The problem is all the other noise around it is trying to get those 7 touches. Like you're saying, you go to a website one time and then the next day it may be there, but it may be in your peripheral.
Uh-huh.
You're not actually focused on it, so that you have to. So you might need 20 to 30
impressions,
and more kind of influential statements, but they're only going to look at 7 of them, where before you could kind of get more of a direct.
Okay, it was less impressions to get the same result.
Yeah,
I see that with any of my social media ads or posts. I mean, you're looking at 20,000 impressions to get X amount of results. And the other thing too is with social media, the algorithm's getting better the more I've been on, and I don't dare turn it off because it's going so well.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I've caught something, and it hasn't always been that way. And it's been years. I mean, I'm talking 2-3 years to try and get some of that traction. But I'm like, it's working. I'm going to leave it.
Yeah. Well,
and that's got to be like a website, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's the key. Again, you kind of go through and you figure out different methods and things. But once you find one that's working, as the floodgates just open.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, all right, yeah, this is, we've kind of reached it. And then what we try to do is then go and expand out other methods, because just as fast as it can open, sometimes as fast as it can close.
It's like that. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, it changed on me.
Yeah. It switches and pivots and just, kind of like what we talked about. But it's, if you're efficient, if you're providing a good service, if you're doing those things, then it's just getting that message out there. And that's where a lot of people, like you're saying, they either are afraid to do it, or they don't know how to do it, or it's just one more thing on their plate that they don't want to digest. And so that's where we come in. We use a lot of AI. We automate a lot. So it's not extremely time consuming, but it's just, another piece that they can add to their.
It reminds me of insurance agents that I talk to on a regular basis. They're like, well, I just want my ideal client to call me on the phone and write. I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
We may be able to get you the ideal client. You still have to do your job and ask questions, and then you got to close it. But so we may be able to get you the ideal client, like somebody turning 65 that has a need, but you've got to do the other two.
Yeah.
And the job is okay, if I can get your phone to ring, then you better be at your best game to ask those questions to help them know that you're their guy, right? That you're the person or gal that needs to talk to them, so that then you can close the deal.
Yeah. Well, and that's where the other part of our business comes in. So you go to a marketing agency, we'll create you leads, here you go, whatever you do with them, that's out of our point.
Yes.
We want to look at the back office too and say, okay, hey, you got 100 leads. How are you closing these?
Mm-hmm.
What's your sales process? Did you follow up? How's your drip campaign? So if you take it from A to Z there, then we know, because we want, for every dollar you spend to us, we know you need to make $3 to $4 for it to make sense.
Sure.
And if you're losing them on the back end and you're not doing those things that you're talking about, following up, and you don't know how to close, then I don't want you to spend money with me. I don't want you to give me $50,000.
You'll be upset.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be upset at me. Yeah. And you ruin my reputation because you don't know how to do any sales.
So you're more than just a full service web design. Then you're almost like, here's the sales process.
Yeah, we want to help your business succeed in whichever way it needs. And so a lot of that, like we go to some clients that get a ton of leads that just don't know how to close them. They don't know how to sell. And so we go in and help either with a CRM or other support in the back to give them the data and reports to say, okay, here's the bottleneck, here's the problem. Let's exploit this. And then we go find the next problem.
What's your thought on all of these e-commerce businesses? And social media has really changed the game direct to consumer, or you're following somebody that's pitching you a vitamin or pitching you, I'm guilty of it. I eat this gum that Joe Rogan talks about. I love it. But it's direct to consumer, right? And he's getting a kickback on the back end of whatever that is. I mean, what's your thoughts on e-commerce and where?
Like personally, I think it's great. I think rather than going to the big box retailers and your stuff's just on the shelf and may or may not sell depending on who walks by or whatnot, I think the fact that we can get on our computer and buy something from China, from a factory of a person we'll never talk to, never see, and they can get it direct to us, I think is amazing. I think it's definitely way to go, and that's where people need to take advantage of. You kind of, in today's day and age, you have to be almost a master of a product and then really go promote that product. The old, jack of all trades type thing, there's just going to be people that pass you, and where they can have a 7 billion,
It's growing every day.
Yeah.
I see some of those numbers and I'm like, wow. Nothing I want to do, but I just keep buying it from Joe Rogan and his link, right?
Yeah.
He's like, hey, thank you, Joe Rogan, right? It's like, hey, he's there thinking me, I guess.
Yeah, you're the one. But it's great because he goes and gives education, and if it works and it does what he says, then what's wrong with it?
No, there's nothing wrong. It just cracks me up as somebody was saying. So another thing is that what about these done for you e-commerce business and the reason I ask is because I have people that come and they're like, I want to get in the insurance business, but I'm thinking about crypto, or I'm thinking about real estate, or I'm thinking about mortgage, or I'm thinking about doing this e-commerce business, but they want 40 grand and they'll do a done for system. What's your opinion on that? Because I don't know. As somebody that's been there, that knows that space, I want to hear it from you.
Yeah. No, I personally have not gone and done anything.
Oh.
But my personal information, if they can take your 40,000 and make 80,000, then it's easier to coach someone or set something up than it is to do it yourself. So I don't think they're a place to be uber successful at, right? Because if they go set it up, you don't know how to set it up. So if their business goes away or whatever, you're still stuck.
Yeah.
And what products, what supplies are they putting in there that you can go find yourself?
This is my opinion, is that I'm like, why are you wanting my money if you're so successful already doing it?
Yeah.
That's what I ask. Cause like, I don't. And then they come up with this thing. Well, it's quantity or or scale, right? They don't have whatever. I question that.
Yeah, and then the other thing, a lot of their money back guarantees, and that's one thing. If you're looking at one of those, is then we'll work with you until you do, and their goal is to get people in, get the 40,000, and then do as little as possible until the person just goes away. Is what I found. I've worked with other coaching companies and things, and it's that similar thing. Go buy real estate, come buy an e-commerce business, whatever it is. Just ultimately do something you love. Like if you're a hiker, go do hiking products. If you're, if you like fishing,
like the gym,
go. Yeah, if you're into gym, go do something that you're passionate about. Do something that you love. That doesn't seem like a job that you would do it in the evenings, because it's just going to turn into another job that you just paid a lot of money for, and that may not be returning your hour per hour production. And that's really what you need.
But where do you see it going the next 5 years for your agency and full service web design? See, I had no idea you did all those things, so it's fascinating. I mean, I've had guys on the show, they build a website. That's it. And they're like, hey, I'll help you maximize SEO. But I had no idea you're like start to finish.
Yeah. So we actually just built our own framework, and so we can actually develop a extensive site like a CRM, an ERP, a regular whatever it is, like within minutes. It used to take us hours and days, and so we are at the precipice to where this year and next year we should see some pretty explosive growth, and ultimately really be able to go help other businesses to be more efficient. Because you go to Salesforce and you pay 20 to 50 grand a month for a product that does 60% of what you need. We're able to come in at a much cheaper price and give you 100% of what you need because of how fast we're able to develop.
Where I struggle, I'm going to say is everyone says, hey, here's this platform. And I'm like, listen, I need this platform that's done for me. I can't go in there and create all the templates. I can. I don't want to. Yeah. It goes back to, I'd rather have somebody else build me all these templates. Let's sit down and brainstorm. What is my ideal client? Where do I need to get to? What's the funnel look like? And you do it. So all I have to do is say, click a button, it's done. Yeah. And then it's duplicatable, because agents come to me and they're not marketers. And I'm actually teaching them how to market and in different ways. Some agents like to do retail. Some like to do direct mail. Some like to do refer partners. But they all have the similar framework. Yeah. But they've got to plug in and do it for them. It's got to be, okay, here's a PDF, here's what to say, here's what not to say, and then at the end of the day, it has to be a win-win-win. Oftentimes, agents go in there and it's what's in it for them, and they don't think about the person they're talking to, what's in it for them as well, and then what's in it for the client. It has to be a win all the way through that process.
Yeah. No, and I think that's where AI really gives us a huge advantage. And so we've spent the last year integrating, getting to know AI to where you can come in and, just like you said, a lot of people, here's a template, go spend hours doing it when you don't want to spend hours.
Yeah.
You just
it's never going to get done.
Click and done. So we actually use AI to where they come in, we brainstorm like you, get to know your needs, and then the product's completely done, including all the content on the site, all the marketing, everything is included, packaged, ready to go. And then all you have to do is kind of maintain, and we look and see.
Adjust.
Yeah. You make some tweaks, go through, hey, did it work? Did it not? But the nice thing is we can do it at much, much less expense than we could 2 or 3 years ago.
So you're talking about AI. There's a lot of speculation out there that AI is going to take jobs. And I've said this, that I do believe AI is going to take some jobs. However, on the back end, it's going to create more jobs.
Yeah.
It's what I mean by that is, like, right now we have a bunch of coders, right? And they know it. Well, AI may take the coding out of it, but they're still going to have to be tweaked and adjust. And like you have a basis, but you still got to watch it.
Yeah.
There's still going to be a need, because you're going to have to understand the AI, because AI is not perfect.
Yeah. I battle with AI way more than I ever want.
Yeah.
Cursing at it last night, actually.
I was going to say, you probably got some good names for it, right?
So it's definitely a long, and again, it's growing fast, but it's definitely a long ways away from being ready. But yeah, AI will absolutely remove jobs. Hopefully, ideally, a lot of the jobs that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have a robot at my house that mows my lawn and takes out the garbage and
I'm sold.
And everything else. Yeah. Sign me up. I'll do it tomorrow. But just like in any economy, then it pivots. Maybe there's more vacations, so now we go into that. I think entertainment, gyms are going to be big. That's one of the reasons why we decided to do ours. Because now, if you have more time, they're talking about a basic living wage eventually, right? If we're getting paid and it's just you taking care of yourself, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the gym. You're going to go on vacation. It will open up different opportunities. Yeah. And just like we've seen in the last, especially in our generation, like we've seen computers come, we've seen apps, the iPhone, CD, like crazy. It's only going to get better from here. Like, it's amazing. I'm excited for it.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the guy that I had on the show, he caters to event space, and he's like, I had no idea it was that big. He said it was some of those trampoline parks. Their annual revenue, like 3 to 4 locations, $12 million.
Oof. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm like, had no idea. And so I asked him the question. I said, do you think there's going to be more of those being built? He said, sure. And then he's like, case in point, the one out by our house is jam-packed.
Yeah.
I mean, jam-packed. And it's $40 to be there all day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like entertainment. Keep your kids out of trouble, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
Any last thoughts
No, just for anybody out there, just stick with it, keep going. But it's all about providing a better product, meeting your clients' needs, and doing it more efficient. If you do those things, you'll succeed.
I'm going to pull one thing away from there is find your passion. And I've heard this said, if you find your passion, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
As always, share, like, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.